Alright, thank you all for joining us today, and we have Gumatas with us today to help cast. And we'll start.
Hi, how's it going, guys?
And this is a best of 5 S-rank show match of Yabsab versus Khala on Eclipse.
Yeah, definitely two strong up-and-coming players. Yeah, as we can see, Khala spawns in top right and Yabsab spawns in bottom left. Those players are both roughly 2700 MMR as far as I know, and they both are amateurs. Semi-pros actually, but like not at the top level. What do you expect from those two players?
Well, I have casted
Yeah.
a decent amount of Khala matches, and he's really strong. I think he's won all of them as far as I can tell. But for the most part, he just plays standard. Isn't really one of the guys who likes to throw some cheese in there, but we'll have to see.
Yeah, Khala is definitely one of the people who deviates the game a bit, but he sticks to the standards. He does not feel that there's a big need to cheese, or at least I've not seen him cheese that much, unless if you count the Corsair DT openings as cheese, but he does not deviate that far from standard, even though he always tries to get an edge on his opponent, of course.
Yeah.
We can see that Yabsab opened with an overpool. Considering the cannon rush is an option on this map, I'm not that much surprised. And we're seeing Khala send out a probe after a forge. And that's a newer thing on two-player maps that you do not pound scout at all. And this can be an attempted cannon rush in my opinion, but like as we already see, it's an overpull. He has no hatchery to cannon rush.
This is an older replay, so it's not like brand new. Maybe like 3 months ago or something of that sort.
Yeah, the meta hasn't changed that much ever
No.
since then, in my opinion. At least I haven't seen any deviations in the PvC matchup besides what Mini presented to us in ESL. The turn rate is dropping quite a bit. Let's hope we can sort it out next game. Or we can just put it on extra high latency, I guess.
Yeah, hope it's all good.
So it doesn't lag much. We can see that the Forge Fast Expand for Khala is the greedier version of 13 Nexus. So he's getting 14 Nexus, I believe, and 14 Cannon, which shows how good he knows the timings. He knows that the Zerglings are not going to be there in time to block the cannon from finishing, and Yabsab is quickly expanding to 3 bases as is standard in PvZ. Now that we are getting into the more standard phase of the game, which is gonna be for the Protoss is gonna want to get to cybernetic score as fast as possible. He's either gonna have to make a Zealot before a core if he sees enough threat from the Zerglings, but I don't think he does. And we can see that the core was started before the Zealot, so yeah. Very quick path to the tech. Possibly Stargate tech, or no Stargate with Citadel is what's the most common. I would assume that Khala would make that, and relatively quick layer from Yabsab which can indicate Corsair, a counter to Corsairs with Scourge, with a Spy, of course, requiring a lair. But it does not discount Heartless Cheese. You still need to count that as an option, even though the Zerg spent 150 minerals on the lair.
Yeah,
But
something else noted.
yeah.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
Yeah. Do you have anything to add to this?
Oh, yeah. Well, something else I kind of forgot about Khala. He tends to have a higher Corsair count than most, and does like to get that +1 in the cybernetic score. And he had just now started it too.
Yeah. It looks like Khala wants to invest in more than 5 Corsairs, and see he's doing the +1 strat.
Is that standard?
Otherwise, it's not really more. Yeah, it is standard if you. Well, it is like the baseline of standard. It was standard for the past 10 years, I guess. If you do not count like Corsair DT openings that Bisu invented. But these things still stand strong and still are used by many players. And as he approaches this game, I believe he's gonna skip the first Overlord so we can get a better view of the Zerg's main before the Scourge pop, posing a threat to Corsairs. And as he's gonna come into the Zerg's natural, he's gonna see that the second extractor is only now being taken, so he's not gonna be afraid of Mutalisks. He's gonna know it's only a Scourge opening, and it's gonna be transitioning to Hardlisks soon. So it's like 2 very, very standard games right now. We do not see any deviation from the golden standard of both of the matchup. So as Khala picks up an Overlord, he's gonna escape with both of the Corsairs. That's good. For Protoss, he didn't suffer any losses and got a free Overlord. And that's always a hassle for the Zerg, but the Zerg is putting his Scourge below a Stargate, so it can pick a single Corsair for free if not dodged properly. And Protoss does dodge it. Whoa, nice dodging. This looks like a very solid game from Khala right now. And even though Khala Yabsab suffered some minor losses, it does not mean anything yet. The game is yet to be decided, and is not going to be decided in the upcoming 10 minutes, in my opinion, because the macro game is just started. It's going to be difficult for anyone to do a big move. And as we can see, Khala wants to engage. Oh, Khala loses one of the Corsairs, which means that they're not going to be as good at picking up, picking at Scourge. Because oh my god.
Wow.
He loses like two Corsairs, that's not good whatsoever. And he's forced to make a lot of Photon Cannons at the natural. Possibly because he's not confident that his Storm is gonna be finished in time. And it isn't for the upcoming 3 seconds. He's gonna cast one, but it will not prevent the Forge from dying.
That was
Okay,
really
that's a
good
nice
storm.
That's a very dealt a lot of damage. But the Zerg did the move which gained him some momentum in the game. But Khala is far from losing. He rebuilt the Forge and he's getting his +1 armor. Uh, as we know, +1 armor is a key upgrade nowadays in PvZ because less and less Zergs tend to opt for +1 Carapace, which means +1 Zealots are gonna two-shot Zerglings for the entirety of the time, unless, well, Zerg decides to actually get the +1 Carapace. But the Carapace upgrade is expensive, hence people tend to avoid it. But in the late stages of the game, we're probably gonna see Khala attacking to +3 attack, so his Archons can one-shot Zerglings. But yeah, armor upgrades are very good in PvZ because many of the troops that Zerg have tend to do way less damage than, let's say, any other races. Hence, the armor upgrade is way more effective. It reduces damage way more percentage-wise. If you think about it, it decreases Zergling damage from 5 to 4, and it's like a 20% damage decrease.
What about the plasma shields? Why are they not as good?
Plasma shields take full damage from any type of attacks. So let's say Zealots take only, I believe it's a half. I'm not sure if it's a quarter. No, I believe it's a half damage from Hydralisks, but that's only for the health bar. Plasma shields are not only do units have less plasma shields than they have health, but also plasma shields take full damage from any type of attack, which means Hydralisk would do full damage to Zealots and High Templar, Dark Templar. So that's why plasma shields are not used as often. I've seen Bishu upgrade plasma shields in PvT, so his carrier interceptors wouldn't get picked off by a single volley of Goliaths, but that's a way different matchup than PvZ. As we can see, Khala is using his 6, back then it was 6, I believe, gateways to expand. He already did expand, which lets him expand his gateway count to, what is it? It's gonna be like,
8.
Yeah, it's gonna be 9. But
9.
I believe he's gonna, yeah, it's gonna go up to 10, I believe. He is gonna afford it once he fully saturates his third. And once he does, he's gonna be a real threat on the map. And as we can see, he is pushing into the lurker defense. He pulls back because he does not have a spear observer. I believe it got picked off, so he does not really know how many lurkers are there. There's only a handful. You can certainly run past it. But after those lurkers that are hatching now finish morphing, they are gonna be way scarier to Zealots, because Zealots tend to line up very, very nicely for lurkers to catch them. As you can see, Yabsab is trying to deny any sneaky fort expansions, and Khala is planning to get one at the 12th o'clock. Or 11th, but after he does, yeah, he's building a pylon so he can get cannons quicker. But Zerglings are gonna be finding this base, and it's gonna get cancelled. I don't see an observer in Khala's army. Oh, is finishing. Oh, he got observer speed as well, so it can rejoin the army as well. And this army of Khala, it looks very scary with +2 attack and +1 armor.
Yeah.
He's gonna be able to push up the ramp even if the lurker spread is not good enough. He takes some shots, unnecessary shots in my opinion, because the observers were not positioned that well, and Yabsab is setting up a beautiful flank from his fourth base. He already got an dynasty there, so he can do flanks whenever he feels like. And the Dark Swarm is already out from Yabsab, which is gonna deem Dragoons useless in bigger quantities. Of course, Dragoons are still gonna be the staple of the army of Khala, because they deal quite a lot of damage to lurkers, and if the Zerg is gonna choose to go for Ultralisks, it's also gonna be a nice counter to that. As you can see, Zerg is not taking to Ultralisks yet.
Double expanded.
Yeah, he tried to triple expand actually, but he got caught.
Yeah.
It does not. It is not a very yeah, and it is not a really big investment in the late game to triple expand and cancel the bases if you get caught.
Yeah.
Because the most difficult part about setting up a Zerg base, in my opinion, is to let it morph and to get a Nidus canal over there. And as we can see, Protoss is also trying to expand because if Protoss cannot match Zerg's economy in bases in the late game, he's gonna get started out. That's usually the golden rule. In Eclipse, it's a bit more difficult to count how many expansions do people have because of the double expansions in the bottom and double gas in the top. So Khala is up to 4 bases now, but once Zeri gets to late game, it gets very scary. And we can already see +2 armor, and actually Khala got shields, +1 shields. He deemed the +3 attack unnecessary, probably because Zerg does not have +3 carapace yet. But I believe that he's gonna get +3 eventually, because one-shotting Zerglings is very nice for Archons. And with +2 armor, Zerglings are not one-shotable for Archons, at least for now. Once you get to +3 attack, you're gonna be able to one-shot them regardless of their armor level. Now, Yabsab is presenting a massive force on the map. As you can see, Zerg is pushing towards the 4th expansion of the Protoss. Protoss has a few storms. Yeah, he has like 3 storms right now. They're gonna do beautifully if he casts them. If he casts them on the clump lurkers, they're gonna do just fine. And I believe Zerg's 5th base is gonna get taken off.
Yeah. And adding some DTs in the army now too, which really is a bothersome, at least for me, because now you just always gotta have overlords with the army, because otherwise Protoss gets free damage everywhere.
Yeah, good point. DTs are a true burden in an army, especially if you do not have top level overlord coverage. And this overlord clump looks scary. I was scanning the map if Khala had any leftover Corsairs, and he doesn't, but if he did, they would pose a real threat to the clump of overlords, because he has like 10 overlords in the exact same spot. They would all die. It would supply block Yabsab for ages. Yeah. if we see the production of Khala, he's slowly mining out, and hence his production has suffered immensely. Uh, and Yabsab is just powering. He's gonna get the 5th expansion, and his main is nowhere close to mining out. He has 57 drones mining, and his bases are not oversaturated, besides maybe the 4th one and the 3rd one. But his economy is looking very, very good for the upcoming late game. I believe Yabsab is has set up for the end of the game very, very well, and I believe he's gonna shine because of that.
I think Protoss is going to be
We
expanding
can see
to
that
the other Nook expansion down here to the left of the 4th base for him. And I think that's going to be really good for him because he's also not going to... I think he'll be able to get rid of the base to the left of the 3rd base because it's just a lot closer to him. And he's already got some pylons here. He could even make some cannons, really, to just reinforce it.
Yeah. Zerg has put up a nice lurker setup near his soon to become 6th base.
Yeah.
Which is gonna be a real trouble to attack into. The lurker spread is made as wide so a storm couldn't hit 2 lurkers at once, besides the ones on the left, but it does not really matter because the Protoss probably wouldn't even reach those ones. While Protoss is expanding to his 5th base, Zerg still keeps a huge army at his natural, which can counterattack and cancel his, not cancel, even destroy his 5th whenever Khala overextends anywhere else.
This is better for Yabsab in the long run because of the extra base, right?
Yeah, Zerg usually, if they have any bases on Protoss, and if they have equal amount of bases, then it's anyone's game. But one extra base is gonna shine once Khala mines out. But the macro game of those two was, and is, still very strong. Both people are spending their money. They're boosting their economy whenever they can. They expand as they feel is safe. Khala maybe even too safe because Yabsab triple expanded and one base got him to... Well, he set up one of the bases and that's good enough. That's one more base that he's not gonna need to worry about in the later game. And Khala is really holding on his 5th base. He knows that he cannot lose it, hence he makes even more cannons to maybe prevent drops. And I'm not sure if drops are present yet, but if they are, they can be very dreadful for the Protoss. I'm sorry. And the plate was nice as well. Khala is moving with his entire army. If he catches those lurkers, it's gonna be huge. This is like 1,000 gas that can be literally picked off in a few seconds. But only if you get picked off, so not terrible for Yabsab. Certainly could have been worse, and those small mistakes happen to everyone.
A drop in the main, would that be pretty good? Especially considering that there really isn't a whole lot of space to build your other, your just gateway stuff and your tech and everywhere, because that's the only other main.
Yeah, that wouldn't be too terrible. Yet I believe. No, never mind. Zerg has a few overlords right next to the base. I thought it would be a bit uh, worse for the Zerg to set up because he wouldn't pose as much of a threat on the map. Hence, the Protoss wouldn't have to respect him as much while
Oh.
he's loading up.
Uh-huh.
Oh, and the storms are beautiful right now. They're dealing a ton of damage. The lurkers are all damaged to uh, the health that can be killed off a single storm. Yet the observers are not in place, so Khala ends up losing a lot of stuff to a few lurkers. He wouldn't have lost that if he had a well-positioned observer, but hey, what can you do? A Reaver crawls up from Khala. I believe that's gonna be defensive, but that may just be a response of Zarek trying to run him over. Um,
Storm.
Reavers are very useful. What? Yeah.
Storm and Reaver is like, it's like the one of the best. I'd say it is the best thing to hold with. Like nothing's gonna be able to break that at all.
Yeah, splash damage is immense if you combo storms with Reavers. I believe pros start to combo in Reavers once they cannot control as many storms. They wouldn't be able to cast them. Then they add Reavers with auto attack, so
Okay, I
you
didn't
do
know
not
that.
really need to control them as much. Yeah, and as upgrades look close to being finished for Protoss, it's +3, and plus soon to be +2 plasma shields. Uh, uh, but the Protoss looks to be close to starving out. He's soon gonna be on a 2 base economy once the third base runs out, and it's not gonna take that many minutes for him to run out on minerals over there. He can transfer some of the probes to his fifth because it's undersaturated right now. And the fourth is looking just fine, but I believe Zerg is going to be able to run him over with his endless production because the resources for the Zerg does not look bad whatsoever. I stand corrected, they do actually look bad. Okay, so it's anyone's game now because both people are gonna be on 2 bases. I believe that favors Protoss, but Zerg is that close to Khala's natural base, which can lead him to trading way better than you would expect.
Yeah, the plagues.
Some
are
Reavers
really
are
good.
really showing. Yeah, yeah, plagues are.
Yeah, my mic is really delayed. I'm sorry.
No, it is not really delayed. In my opinion, it's just the fact that we probably live like 15k kilometers away from each other. That's the delay. I live in Eastern Europe, and I would assume you live in Northern America.
Yeah.
Yeah, so hence the delay. But if you ever want to like put the word in, just go on. Do you have anything to add to the Zerg side of things? I have explained a lot of metagame about Protoss. Do you have anything to add about Zerg that I wouldn't know?
Not really, but the max Zerg army is going to be a lot better than the max Protoss army. That is one thing I have learned from
Yeah.
Atosis and Tasteless here. That one of the few things.
Yeah. Yeah, Zergs. When they max out, they are scary. Usually they never do, but once they do, you're gonna feel the wrath. Yeah, Protoss somehow smuggles those probes right through the lurkers and makes them all live. That wouldn't happen in my game because all of them would die. But yeah, oh, the massive plague on top
Yeah.
of the army. Zerg has officially mined out on every besides the 2 last bases, which is gonna lead into a very scrappy match now. Yabsab has spent his mineral bank and he's not gonna have anything to buffer on, especially when Lurkers trade so well. But Khala is very, very close to being ran over. If he manages to survive for a few more minutes, I believe it's gonna be a game for Khala. But the game can end at any given time. Those 2 players are very good at late game. And we can see how good Reavers are by this example of them two-shotting Reaver, oh not Reavers, Lurkers.
Yeah, makes lurkers basically not even useful, makes them useless. And the storms have been really amazing.
It's kind of the... Yeah, and the storms are a very valuable tool since they are very cost efficient. You can cast multiple storms. If you manage to make your High Templars survive long enough. But they are very easy to pick off. And that's the con of having so much firepower.
He's kind of broken free
and as
here.
we can see, yeah, he is, but that 4th base of Khala is mining out right this second, which is gonna set him on 1 base production, while Zerg is gonna stay on 2 base production for a while now.
This is starting to look
I thought it would be a bit...
Go ahead, you go ahead.
Yeah, so while I thought the situation might look a bit better for Khala, but 1 base versus 2 base economy looks favorable for Yabsab, and the army is running low. Even though Khala has about 100 army supply right now, if you subtract the probes. And Yabsab has a bit less, but you have to remember that Yabsab is gonna pump troops for a bit longer, and Zerg units are usually stronger supply-wise per 1 supply. Yeah, so I believe Khala is gonna try to fight at least until he runs out of army, and if he doesn't break out, then I believe he's considered dead.
The plagues are
he's not going to be able to produce any.
Really, really good, and he's just staying on top of it and plaguing every single time, and none of the troops are even getting getting health at all, and he's just keeping that down.
Yeah, if you think about it, Plague is like the storm of Zerg.
Yeah.
It does quite a bit of damage, and it trades as good as Storm in my opinion, and Defilers cost as much as High Templars. And a surprising ending. Yabsab types out, even though I believe he was still ahead, because his if I look at it, is it possible for me to get the look of the entire map?
There may have been a DT, maybe, I don't know. No TTs.
I believe Yabsab underestimated himself, because his base saturation was looking... It was still good, even at this time. I believe it's just the constant pressure. He thought he was way more ahead, well, way less ahead than he actually was.
Yeah.
That's what caused him to tap out. I believe he would actually won the game if he stayed.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there.
That's certainly surprising at me. Yeah. Okay, so with the first game out of the way, we can move on to the second one.
Mm-hmm. Alright, I'll host up. It'll be the same thing. Here, actually, do you want me to turn the turn rate down this time? Might be a better idea.
Yeah, we can actually make it 16, I guess. 16 would be a better
Yeah.
turn rate for intercontinental casting.
Wait, actually, I don't know how to do that for replays.
Uh, you select a replay, I guess, in the hosting screen. And once you do, or does it actually not work? I'm not sure.
Okay, I got it.
Okay. Nice. Okay, it's gonna be a bit better now.
Yeah.
Worst case scenario, we're gonna turn it to extra high, and it's not gonna affect us because we're not playing.
Yeah. What does it do if it's extra high latency?
It's just like I'm not qualified enough to explain this. I believe there is a post Master Ray has um, posted it on Team Liquid on what exactly do they do, but I'm not educated enough to explain that.
Me
I
either.
just know that the extra high decreases the turn rate somehow. I'm not sure how by how much and what is better, but I know it helps with stuttering.
Alright, so we have Khala in the bottom left and Yabsab in the bottom right.
Yeah, and Neo Selfhood is a very good map
Yeah.
uh, especially for I believe TVP and PVZ. So yeah, Protoss is somewhat balanced on this map, in my humble opinion at least. We can see that nothing unusual is happening, and I believe Yabsab is gonna go for a hatch
12
first.
hatch. Yeah. This is my go-to build, 12 hatch.
Yeah. Yeah, very solid build against practically anything besides 9-9 gates, which are not that common anyway, so it's gonna be an 11 hatch. It's like a more optimized build against gate first in PVZ, but it's gonna be a force first because he scouted after the pylon. No, actually, it's gonna be a Nexus first because
Wow.
he scouted that it's a hatch first. Yeah. He waited to see if it's a hatch first, and once he saw it was, he decided to go for 13 X's. Yeah, but as we can see, that's a bit unusual, but Khala knows this stuff, so he's gonna make it work. I believe we can see even Gateway before Forge. No, never mind. Kali's a careful guy. He's gonna. He's not gonna risk it. He's gonna make a cannon so he can defend himself
If you go
from
gateway,
these Redlings.
if you go gateway before that forge, does that mean you're just gonna be able to get the cybernetics core earlier and Corsairs out earlier, or what is that? What is that gonna help you do better?
Yeah. Yeah, that's the philosophy behind the gateway before Forge, but also like it provides you with an early presence on the map. You can send out zealots to check if it's a Hydra all-in, like a 973 or something, or a 973 or 4, you can always check for that if you open gate first. It's a bit more difficult if you open force first, because you're not gonna have as many zealots that can scout for you, and probes are very easy to pick off, even without circling speed. We can see that the Zerg has opted for the same start, and I don't see. Well, it sure can change in the upcoming seconds if the Zerg it takes us a gas close to now, but if it doesn't, it's not going to be immune to opening, so it's going to be very, very standard from Zerg. It wasn't as standard from Khala, because he opened Nexus first,
That gives him
which you should only do.
that gives him an economic advantage, right?
Yeah, you should. Nexus first is like an economic advantage, but sacrificing like the tech progression. So your courses are gonna be later. Yet Kalla seems to have hit the timing quite good. His plus, yeah, he's going Stargate +1 attack, and I believe it's gonna be Citadel. Yeah, in this build you wanna go for 3 Corsairs and 3 Gateways. And you're gonna try to, even though it's a less Corsair heavy opening, its target still relies on Corsairs to achieve its main goal, which is to trade Zealots for Overlords. So you attack, you trade the army, and while your Zergs and Protoss's armies are clashing, you pick off Overlords using Corsairs. And as we can see, Zergling speed is finished, I believe, or is it not?
It is, yeah, it is.
Those Zerglings, yeah, Zerglings look fast. They pose a threat to a single cannon, because 6 Zerglings can pick off a cannon if nothing supports the cannon, I guess. Yeah, Zealots are present, so the runabout is not gonna be happening anytime soon. He even throws down a second cannon just in case. Maybe it's because no, it's not because he saw Hydras. It's just because
Wants to be safe.
he does not wanna. Yeah. Kali is gonna get. No, he's no way he's gonna get 2 Overlords. Pulls back. Can he get flagged with the 2 Corsairs?
Wow.
Scourge it easily. Yeah.
I can't do that.
Corsair dies.
Is the 3 Corsairs like a perfect number to where it gets a certain amount of hits and picks off an Overlord? Because he seems to be making another one and not really just wanting to be on 2.
It's not really that 3 Corsairs have a magic number of hits, but like more that it poses a significantly more. Well, it looks significantly scarier compared to 2 when you move out. And he's getting more after this, so I believe he has ditched the plan of trading after his initial Corsair died. So he's just gonna probably get +1 as well. He's not getting it yet, which is surprising, because he got up to 4 Corsairs. And once you get to 5, it's actually worthwhile to get get +1, because after 5, +1 air weapons is as significant as an additional Corsair. But he is staying on 4 right now, and he's definitely scared of the Hydra threat, which is a 30 drone timing, also known as 5 Hydra. And yeah, the storm finishes a bit later. That comes from it being an Nexus first. But it does not finish that late, so it wasn't time to defend the base, and
Yeah.
Khala lives on to fight another fight or live another day.
We still never have that +1 Corsair attack yet. And he hasn't started it. He just started the
Yeah,
Dragoon
he's
range.
well, yeah, gun range seems to be the thing that he wants to upgrade now. I guess you would need to upgrade gun range right now regardless, so you would
Yeah.
actually, even if you want to have more air presence, you would get an additional Corsair. Gun range at this time is that much more important right now, so uh, even if he wanted to build more Corsairs, he would get gun range before he would get +1. Mm, and the gun range is important because around this time, or I believe he's getting +1 armor, and it's gonna be a timing, so he can safely.
He's getting a lot of overlords.
Oh my god, yeah, good point. He got a lot of value out of these four, and they didn't even die. That's the
Do have
fun
some
part. And
mutas.
he's the mutalisk. So he knows what to be scared of, and Mutas are going straight for the High Templar, and I don't believe they're gonna die before casting the storms. Even more Mutas pop. I believe that's gonna force an Archon to be made at home, and because he's not making any additional Corsairs. Or at yeah, and he has a load of gas. I would assume after this round of Zealous that he makes, he's gonna produce a round of High Templar and warp most of them into Archons
Did just get the Spire.
because they
That's
are
pretty
so
good.
good. Yeah, Spire is a big pickoff. You may not even need to make that many Archons now because he knows the mutas are not gonna be reinforced. And if he gets a Hydrodon,
Wow.
yeah, he got a Hydrodon. That means the only troop that can be made for a while by now are only Zerglings. And Zerglings do not pose that much of a threat for Zealot Archon composition. So I would assume he would warp some into those because he certainly does not have sufficient Corsair count to defend. But he opts for goons, which are alright because he knows the mutas are not going to be reinforced, and in lower amounts goons beat mutas. Um, so that's not gonna pose that much of a threat. Besides this High Templar, which might get picked off. It doesn't yet, but I believe he might go back for it. Even though it's only 8 mutas, it can pick off the entire arsenal of High Templar,
How many
which
muta
is gonna
hits
be
is it to kill High Templar?
I believe it's around
Wow.
9. I believe it's 9.
That was so good for Yabsab there.
Yeah, he got a lot of High Templar, yet he traded his entire Muta fleet. And armies are big enough so that Yabsab wouldn't wanna fight an army even without any High Templars. And Khala knows that he traded good enough that he doesn't need to be scared of taking a fourth. So he's gonna match Yabsab in bases, which is gonna boost his economy. The Corsair fleet is rebuilt, at least to 4. And He's not gonna get a +1 yet, even though I strongly believe he should. He's gonna continue to look at the Mutus as a threat. He trades alright considering he had no storms besides one. And he's reduced the Hydra count. It's very not good that he's not fighting with this entire army. That's a mess up. But it's not a big one though. It would be a horrible decision to fight into this army if you're only using a part of it. And since this high ground on his fourth base is not actually high ground, it's okay to fight into it.
I don't know why it looks like that, but it
imitating
isn't.
Yeah, I believe it was made that it's not even for division. I'm not sure why it was made like that. Maybe it's so you wouldn't be able to climb up on it from different angles, or just so it fills the map a bit smoother. And as we can see, the third base of Khala was destroyed to shambles, and is gonna force Khala into trying to trade for base for base, but I believe Khala knows that the threat of a counterattack is too big, and so he pulls back, even though he suffered quite a bit of losses. He suffered losing an entire base full saturation.
Is that better for
the probes as well?
Khala?
Yeah, it was certainly very good for Yabsab.
Oh, okay, yeah.
He threw away some army, so he wouldn't. He threw away some army, and Khala lost a base that he's not going to be able to retake for the upcoming 3 minutes. Well, it's going to be warping in, it's going to need cannon support again, and all that good stuff, which certainly doesn't put Khala in a good position. Luckily for him, he has a third base up and running. Fourth base. That was the third. He's retaking his previous third, which might put him in a well position, and he caught Yabsab in a very good, in a very vulnerable spot, because the lurkers weren't buried, and Yabsab leaves the game consequently because his army was not in a single clump. It was very, very prone to an attack, and Khala stumbled upon it and took a chance to destroy the entire army. So even though Khala lost third base, he traded good enough that Yabsab wouldn't be able to remake that much army after he traded, and caught him off guard with the lurkers not being buried. The Hydras were not in a single clump. Well, they were in many different bases that wouldn't put up a good fight, because you do not want to sprinkle in troops into a big, massive army that can destroy everything. That's why I think Yabsab lost. So, what do you think about this game?
Oh yeah, I thought that counterattack from Khala was just really powerful, and that's what obviously made him leave. And I can feel his frustration.
Yeah, I certainly believe that Yabsab underestimated the power of Khala's counterattack. That was inevitable to happen because he traded troops for a base, not for troops. Um, then again, Yabsab, I believe, could have simply survived the push if he didn't want to keep as much map presence, and that might be the reason why he lost. He was too confident in this game, like the previous game, the game before the last one. I'm sorry. He was underconfident. This one he was overconfident, and that's why he lost. Okay, a PVZ on benzene. Let's start.
Alright, I don't know. Benzene's an interesting map. The rush distance on this map is pretty long, so we might just see another normal game.
Yeah, what in my opinion, what benzene likes in rush distance for cheese, it makes up for proxy locations. Because in this map you can proxy at literally anywhere. You can proxy in a natural base, you can proxy in the third, you can proxy at the ramps, and you can also proxy above the third base. You cannot proxy a 2 gate there, you can only proxy a single gate, but it's still good enough if you want to cheese. But for PvZ, as 9 gates are not as viable as, let's say, in PvT, there I don't think we're gonna see any shenanigans. What's your go-to strategy in this map?
Well, as a low rank player, I don't.
Yeah.
My strategy is normally just the same on each map. It's not going to really vary any differently. I'm trying to right now. I use these replays and I try to copy the builds and be able to use them. And I got the ZVT and the ZVP standards down, so I got that.
Yeah, and ZVZ is literally a roulette game in my opinion, and a micro best, because of the unit counts that are made, they're very low.
Yeah.
And Probe was trying to intercept it. Oh. A second drone comes and saves the first drone that was about to die. So Khala loses a probe. He knows the rush distance is long and the pool was started, so he's... And I believe this was actually a 9 pool. I didn't check, but the Overlord was very late.
Yeah, it was 9 pool, and
So
then he
that
did the
signifies
extractive
a 9
trick.
pool. Yeah, he wants as many Zerglings as he can. And the drone, of course.
I messed up on that one.
No, I did because he made 6 slings, not 8. I thought he would make 8. He did. He made a drone instead. So you were right this time. And as Khala sees the timing of Zerglings, he knows it's a 9 pool. He's gonna make a gateway to block, and it only requires 2 probes to block for the cannon. But the cannon is only finishing now, and it's gonna be a microfest until the cannon is definitely gonna die. And it looks terribly for Khala. I believe it's gonna be a game. Because he's gonna lose the pylon, he's not gonna have a single way to save the Nexus. The 9 pool worked. And here we can see a GG from Khala. He didn't respect the 9 pool enough, he didn't pull enough probes, he thought his cannon would finish in time, but it didn't. And he lost. Here we can see that the unorthodox builds actually work, because you would see, well, you would assume that a 9 pool would be bad on a long rush distance map. But as it is, people consider it obsolete and then completely ignore it. and disregarded it as a possibility, and that's how Khala died. He thought he wouldn't see a 9 pool on a map where 9 pool is bad. A bit of reverse psychology over here.
Mm-hmm.
As we move to map 4, which is gonna be Ringing Bloom, also known as the weirdest map for PvZ ever. It's even weirder for a PvP because recall is actually a viable option.
Oh, I actually didn't know that there.
Yeah, I've only seen it in a single sponsored match, but it was very good. But in the lower ladder levels where you wouldn't see feedback or mind control, as a counter to arbiters, recall is very viable in this map, and since the bases are really easy to take but hard to defend, recall is very, very, very useful. But we have a PvZ here, and we have quite a few more options over here, because those overmind cocoons that are blocking the creep, well, preserving the creep actually, can be used to sunken rush, and makes greedy play very, very punishable, because the standards in PvZ Arsenal right now are Forge Fast Expand, and the default Forge Fast Expand gets a Nexus before a cannon. And if you do that, and your opponent's second rushes, you're dead. And I believe Yabsab is doing just that. He's going up to speedlings, and he's gonna do he's gonna scout with the drone very early so we can see if he can pull off a sunken rush. But Khala knows that sunken rushes are very viable in this map. He went for gate first because of that, because it's a build that can defend to both greed and a sunken rush, of course. It's a very safe build because if you make a cannon before you make an Nexus, you're gonna be behind. But if you make a gateway and do a Zealot fast expand, you're not gonna be behind whatsoever because you invested into army supply. So cannon first is only good if you blindly guess that it's a 9 pool. And gateway first is always decent. It's not gonna be bad. He gets a forge before he gets a yeah. And as we can see, two sanctions are gonna be morphing, and hence the probes are gonna have to be pulled. A second zealot pops, which is very good for Khala, because it's gonna be very difficult otherwise to prevent this cheese from happening. And as we can see, Yabsab is not stopping recalling, reinforcing the Zealot Zerglings, my bad. And as both Sunkens get picked off, Khala needs Zealot very badly. He morphs a cannon, or warps in a cannon, rather. So he could prevent future sunken placement, and I believe if one more zealot pops, the cheese is gonna be over, and the game is gonna continue to the later stages. Only now, the Yabsab is. Never mind, he cancelled the Zergling speed. He knows he's not gonna get the Zerglings in anymore. I was confused on why is he getting Zergling speed that late, but he cancelled it. He realized it was a mistake. He wants to invest the gas into a lair or something more more useful in the late game, because these, even if you get Zergling speed, but if you're not gonna make it into your opponent's main, it's kind of useless. You're not gonna use Zerglings anywhere else, and slowlings are just as good as speedlings in straight up fights, uh, unless it's PvT. We can see Yabsab is going up to base layer, which is gonna get countered by a one base target, which Khala is going for. And he's going for that because he knows he can take a second Nexus very, very safely on this map. It's not an issue whatsoever because the wall you make is in the main and you're not gonna have to reclaim your low ground if you commit to a one base game on this map. So definitely some unorthodox strategies displayed in this game. We can see that Khala places those zealots so he can force Zerglings to fight, because if they move away, he's threatening to kill drones, and Zerglings are not gonna trade efficiently over here. And as Khala can see that Zerg's economy is very, very, very bad. Calling it bad would be an understatement. He rallies a couple more zealots. I don't believe he's gonna run them through Sunkens.
2 drones go down. Wow.
Yeah, and Yabsab calls it a game because he has no future opportunities. He only has so many drones, and Khala already pumped up for to like double the amounts of probes we saw on the minerals, and he also had superior tech. The Spire wasn't even started, but Khala already had a Corsair started, which would destroy the Overlords, and we can see a spectacular hold to a Sunken Rush, which I was talking about earlier from Khala, because and Yabsab certainly took the opportunity, almost went through with it. If the Sunkens had finished a bit earlier, it probably would have worked.
Alright. Okay, thank you for joining me.
No problem. My pleasure to cast the high levels of those games. We saw Khala put up a beautiful performance tonight. He didn't deviate from normal that much. Yabsab tried to force it, but Yabsab got punished for trying to do so. It was a pleasure casting along with you. And to you guys, I'm gonna say goodbye.
See ya.